Hey, you geeks! Way back when I started this channel, just your basic weebo with a liking for Tolkien, I was psyched to review the Green Knight film. I'd read Tolkien's translation and loved it. The unknown author of this poem will always be best bard in my book. His words were the first to make me swoon. Now, a summer late, the film has finally arrived, and it's wow! Did I love it? Did I hate it? Yes?
I create feelings in others that they themselves don't understand.
It was not my interpretation of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, nor was it Tolkien's all warrant, but it was an interpretation of the tale for a modern audience, and I can respect it for that. So, here is a spoiler-free review, meaning I will not give any specifics about the end, though the premise and the rising action are fair game. I do have a spoilerific interpretation of the ending of the film that I will have at the end. Seriously, if you haven't seen it, you should before you finish this review. It's in theaters! The Green Knight is only released in theaters, and it was so nice to go back.
It is so choice. If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
After 6 years of going to see Marvel movies during finals, it's odd to realize I've gone 2 years without stepping foot in a theater. And even odder to remember that theaters have trailers. The Green Knight is an R-rated art film about decapitation, so the theater decided to show trailers for horror movies that are not my thing at all. Waiting for the movie to start was nerve-wracking as I worried about how disturbing this adaptation would be. Turns out I did not have to worry about that angle anyway. Gawain. The movie does open with ye typical not your standard legend trope by introducing Gawain in a brothel. This Gawain is more of a mix of the Gawain in The Green Knight and later Gawains like in The Percival, who is more openly known as a slave to his passions. I read the original poem's Gawain as being super serious and confident, only to be taken down a peg by his own melodrama. The movie's Gawain is not yet a knight. He has not gone on any adventures.
You have none to tell yet.
Both routes get him to the crucial moment. Desperate to prove himself, he takes a silly game way too far.
1 year hence.
Then he sets out on his quest to see if he can face death and discover if he has any honor. He spends the rest of the movie trying to figure out just that. Morgan Le Fay. I mention her only because how greatly expanded her role is from the poem. Again, the movie draws on other Arthurian legends to put together that
Morgan Le Fay, mother to Gawain, King Arthur's half-sister, practitioner of magic.
As such, we see her shenanigans in real time as she summons the Green Knight, placing her sorcery at odds with the Christmas feast. The film also makes her the first one to give Gawain the Green Garter, at odds with the armor of Christ Gawain receives before going on his quest. In the poem, Morgan Le Fay only pops up at the end when Lord Bertelic explains her antics as just a joke on Guinevere, because really, no one likes Guinevere for the first millennia of Arthurian legends. Funnily enough, by expanding her role, the film leaves her end goal more open to interpretation. A world of magic. The poem dates back to pre-puritanical Christendom when the magic of the old little g gods existed as subject to the big G man himself, his son, and his mother. The poem includes several sincere prayers to Mama Mary, which I was certain the film would cut. I think the last time Hollywood depicted a Marian devotion in film was The Hunchback of Notre Dame's villain song. You'd think that would have appeared in Lady Bird, but I don't recall that. The Green Knight kept the devotion in, including a Latin Hail Mary as Gawain is garbed in his fine armor. But instead of leaving the pentacle on his shield to symbolize the 5 wounds of Christ, they replaced it with an icon-style painting of Mama Mary and child. The pentacle still shows up, but it's in a more modern and profane connotation. A small change that's fine. The big change is that Gawain loses his armor shortly outside Camelot, and the icon gets decapitated. The film's Gawain is clearly not a man of faith, though he still gets to spend the rest of his journey carrying a giant axe in a clear Jesus allegory as he goes further and further into the world of magic. The film doesn't have a magic system per se. The Green Knight shenanigans stand out as the only thing magical. That is never explained above and beyond garden variety witchcraft. The terrible journey across Wales, which according to my calculations inspired both The Hobbit and The Eye of the World, making this tale the great-grandfather of all modern fantasy, in case the whole honor quest thing didn't make that abundantly clear already.
Chivalry isn't dead.
Anyway, my favorite verse about the journey is interpreted as one bad trip. That's fair. The film called this an interlude, which I found hilarious. Gawain's journey whittles down his comforts until it's just him and the garter, which represents the world's magic. A huge change from the poem, but probably more relatable to modern audiences. The premise. From the trailers, I had worried they would take Christmas out of The Green Knight, because look at this scene. Does that look like Christmas to you? Yet, it's amazing what they can do with a soundtrack, even when the screen, for artistry purposes, is varying shades of gray. By keeping Christmas in, The Green Knight delves deeply into the reason for the season.
Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?
Accepting a challenge to face certain death. Jesus did this by his own free will on Christmas by being born. And Gawain does it, as men do, by making terrible decisions. This movie is more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard, and grasps the darker elements of the season better than any Hallmark Hall of Fame ever could. Very gritty, very artistic. The cinematography is very artistry, like the latest adaptation of a certain Scottish play. It makes the audience feel the dank of British living.
Fair is foul, and foul is fair.
Some scenes are quite beautiful, though I find it odd that they changed Gawain's color from red to orange. They made Camelot and the Lord's Manor so austere, instead of the contrast of a merry hearth to a lonesome green wilderness. The film contrasts a gray hearth, an orange night, and a green wilderness. Once the game is afoot, Gawain sets out on his quest, which from the trailers we know has a few more side quests than the original poem. There's this strange little fellow.
You rest your bones. I'll finish your quest for you.
He's the one who decapitates Mary, and I do not like him. The film does a good job of making him unlikable for other reasons. There's also Lady Winifred, who seems to be a retelling of Saint Winifred, a lady who was beheaded and her head thrown into a well. Very on theme for this tale. Gawain receives plenty of memento moris to carry as he approaches his doom. These additions change the story, but they are artfully done. David Lowery clearly has his own vision for this tale and tells it well. This is not a quick and dirty adaptation with random quests thrown in to pad the runtime. With the extra quest, Lord Bertilic's home is quite reduced. I don't think he even gets named in the film. It also makes sense in the context of the film because the new passionate Gawain does not pass the lady's test as well as the prudish Gawain does in the poem.
This cannot be. I am sworn to chastity.
Then Gawain is finally off to face his doom, which you've got to see to believe. Big, fat spoilers coming. So go see the movie and then come back. An interpretation. This film's conclusion had me seething mad for a solid 10 minutes. First, it plays it like Gawain chickened out. We see his whole life play out as if he had returned without honor. A truly effective way to make fans of the source material and fans of this new Gawain very, very angry. 10 out of 10, the film achieved its purpose. Then it flashed back to Gawain kneeling before the Green Knight, and he doesn't run. Yes! But I can't help thinking of the Twilight final battle.
That's your future. Unless you decide on another course.
Seeing what an a-hole he would become without honor, Gawain agrees to face his doom, and in a shocking twist from the poem, he gives up the garter. In the poem, he wears both the armor of Christ given through Mary and the garter to face the Green Knight. In the poem, he gets a nick on his neck for wearing the garter, and he goes home where everyone makes fun of him for wearing the garter. The poem shows the great both and of the medieval mindset, giving the ultimate power to the Christian God, while also playing some wicked games with silly little nature spirits.
It is only farce.
The Gawain of the film is a modern man to his core, facing his fate without faith or magic. The Green Knight commends him for his courage, then says, "Now, off with your head." The film ends, leaving the audience to wonder if there is a post-credit scene. The question of the film was never if Gawain would survive the game, but if he had the courage to face it. He found the courage, so who cares how it turned out for him? Well, I would like to know, but reading Robert Jordan has acclimated me to not getting any falling action. It's artistic and thought-provoking and blah, blah, blah. In sum, David Lowery did an excellent job telling his version of the Green Knight. It's not how I interpreted the poem and is distinctly different from the original, but it's a well-executed vision that I can devour. I'm not sure if this will become a Christmas classic for me, but it might. It just might. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Your patronage is greatly appreciated.